So, um, word is I haven't been eating well. I'm trying to stay out of bed, so here I am. Because the more I lay in bed, the more I sleep. And what my wake up call is when I start getting depressed in bed. And I'm like, okay, it's time to get up. Um, this week, I have been thinking about a lot, such as going to Social Security and figuring out this award letter. I want to get to the library because I have a lot of videos on here that I have to upload, and I want to do them in order. So my first few videos is the oldest. So when I get to post this one, it'll be most likely the latest. Um, but my oldest videos, I want everything to go in order, So it's hard to get up and make videos when you get comfortable in dark places. Your dark places is the most comfortable. It's where you are, you know. It's like sometimes you gotta take time away to put the pieces back together again. Not of your past, but of your now. It's like every experience that you have, or every time at different times of your life, it's like each time in your life is this puzzle. And sometimes you gotta go and you gotta sit back and you gotta reflect on this puzzle and you gotta put this puzzle together. And it's only until this puzzle is together is when you can now move on. I went to this party, my cousin's party, the other day, Friday. We went, and then there was another party yesterday, but I didn't go to that one. I actually forgot about it. Um, but I seen my cousins, and I felt like they felt a certain way about me because when I first got there, I hugged my one cousin, and then my other cousin kind of backed off, like he was like this, like, okay, you know, keep it pushing. And I'm gonna go ahead and say hi to my other cousins. I don't know what that was about, but like I said, everybody has traumas in their lives, and you know, people got problems to where they feel like you're the problem, and they just know something that you don't know, but instead of getting some type of clarity, they make it feel like as though you're the problem, and that's how I felt that whole night. Well, not really, to a certain extent, until we went into the room. We went to the kitchen to get our food, and my cousin Tisha, she was like, "Yeah, um, we need to. You need to come live with us in Kent." You know, I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, we talked about this. The last time we talked about it, it was like a whole scenery where I got drunk and um, I was crying out about my cousin that had just passed. Not because I was drunk, but because I actually felt that way. Hadn't seen them in so long. So I was grieving along with everybody else. Um, so she asked me, she was like, "Yeah, you need to come move to Kent." And then I guess she had her friends with her as well, and they was telling me, yeah, I need to move to Kent. Ain't nothing going in Kent. Ain't nobody gonna mess with you in Kent. So that's why we need to move there. And after that, as I'm telling her, I live right up the street. While y'all telling me to move to Kent, y'all have, yet to visit me. I'm right up the street. Like, is y'all gonna come see me? Come see where I'm at. Come chill with me. You know, that's what I meant when I kept telling them I'm right up the street. And the way she looked at me, she kind of just side-eyed me and side-nicked, like she just like this and looking at me weird. I'm like, hold on. Like, why is you looking at me like that? Like, that's when I felt uncomfortable the second time. I'm like, okay, you know, I don't know what's going on here, but the way y'all acting is just, I need to be told why y'all acting the way y'all acting and why y'all feeling the way y'all feeling. Like, you know something I don't know, or you see something I don't see. Literally went in the bathroom to check my face or check if something was wrong with me. I looked ordinary. So I'm just like, hold up. What's really going on? So then I grabbed a sausage. I was really hungry, but I had some food before I got there, a couple pieces of chicken. But I was hungry. I grabbed a sausage. That sausage ain't do nothing for me because, for one, I don't like food on a grill for a certain reason. And it was all grilled, so I wind up going outside and sitting outside while they all partying or grieving or whatever they doing, because a large portion of them is grieving, a large portion of them is shaking their butt, partying. And it's just like you can't tell because it's actually my cousin's birthday party. It didn't seem like her birthday party. It seemed like they was grieving all over again. Like it was, still about the loss of our cousin. And I understand that, but at the same time, it's just like no one's thinking about her and her birthday party. It's more so of just a gathering of, it just seemed like a gathering. There was no happy birthday, no nothing. So I'm just like, okay. Um, so they drinking and whatnot. My cousin got this truck. His doors is just like off the chain. His doors flip up, and it's like I think I only seen that on the TV one time, and you don't see nobody's cars like that. So his car is very, very unique. It's literally flipped up. The door just flipped up. I'm like, that's dope. But he said he made his doors like that because he worked on cars and he worked on vehicles. And he does. Like, he wanted to work on my radio before, but that's his hobby. So then the police came because the music was too loud. And they, like, turned down the, well, I guess they telling them that if they don't turn down the music, they're going to tow his truck. My, my cousin yelling out, like, you know, the neighbors always blast their music at 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody ever told on them. They got to hear that all the time. And of course, they was disregarding what she was saying. It was like, you got to turn down the music. The one white lady was like, no, y'all right. She was basically saying like okay, so I'm going to get to her last because that was before that happened, he was going off and he was, having a fit talking about it. He was like, he ain't say he wasn't turning out his music, But the white cop was getting smart with him. You know how people, them arrogant people in the workforce that be like, since I have the authority, so I'm gonna talk to you any kind of way, and if you do anything about it, it's gonna be a problem. That type of attitude. That's how she was acting towards him. So he was just reciprocating that same energy. And I'm like, I know how that is because let me not get into it. Okay, um, so he yelling out like, "You're not about to tow my truck," because she was basically threatening him at this time with her smart mouth, talking about she gonna tow it if you don't turn on the music, this and that. And they said they gonna turn on the music, but she's saying, "I don't believe you. Like if we leave right now, I don't believe you're going to turn down this music. It ain't for you to believe whether or not they're going to turn down the music. If they say they're going to turn down the music, they're going to turn down the music. If they turn on the music right there while you're there, and that's all you're asking, you can go ahead about your day. But instead of doing that, she's talking about, I don't believe you're going to turn down the music. If we leave right now, basically trying to stay there longer, overstay your welcome, even though you wasn't welcome, but overstay your welcome and try to make more out of the situation than it's supposed to be." So she walking around his car, looking around the car, talking about, I'm gonna tow it, this and the third. He going crazy. He going ballistic. He did a lot of work on this car, and he like, I be dang if you take my car, this and that. So it went from that, and then they all start coming up. That's when I started yelling out his name. I'm like, sit down, sit down. Don't like just sit down. Like I started to panic at that point because they all started walking up towards us with some what they call it. I can't think what they call it. One them things. Hold on. With them tasers. Okay, so they started walking up with some tasers because of course he was talking hard. So I guess they all had to appear just as hard as him. Dang. So now I need batteries. So they had to appear just as hard as him. And that's what they did. So, yeah. Um, so they trying to call him down. I'm standing with my son, making sure my son don't get nowhere near them. Because they all literally lined up, like 4 or 5 of them lined up with tasers. It was more than that there. There was more of them there. They all lined up with their tasers like they about to tase him if he don't calm down. Most likely, if his family wasn't holding him back, he would have got it. It attacked him. So it made sense that it made sense, but it's just like they was ready for him to attack. that was walking towards the steps. If his family wasn't there, they would have walked up to him and tased him. So his family was in between them, um, protecting him, hovering over him, because they did just lose their son. They brother, my cousin, they just lost him, and he on the steps mourning, remembering. So now it's all flooding in on him about his brother, and he was like, y'all already took my brother, this, that, and the third, yelling out at them about that. Um, they family talking about it wasn't them, because the person that did take his brother, it wasn't them. It was a white person, one of his friends. I guess they betrayed him or something. Wound up shooting him. It was a white person that shot him in the driver's seat or something like that. That's what I heard. But he basically just blamed it on the cops because, he wasn't my cousin or his brother wasn't, always in good terms with the police anyway. So he was in prison for a while. So maybe that's what he was talking about. You know, his brother was in prison, and once he got out of prison, it wasn't long before he, got shot. um, but yeah, he was always in trouble with the cops too. So he was on the police. He did police chases and everything. So um, So yeah, they stayed there, and that's when I said that's when the white girl jumped in. She was like, "No, y'all right." She was like, "Y'all turned down the music. No, y'all rights. And why is y'all still here? No, y'all rights." Because they was just standing around while he going ballistic until they seen it calm down. It still didn't calm down. He still didn't calm down. But I'm pretty sure they got the hint. They wasn't gonna get close to him or near him without going through his family, and they wasn't gonna let him up to tase for them to tase him. So they talking, they chatter, they talking about freaking sports and TV shows with some of the family, the ones that's not holding him down. And eventually they calmed the police down to where they felt like, all right, because obviously they was feeling some type of way about what my cousin was talking about because he was on their neck. Talking about how they ain't nothing, they ain't this, they ain't that. You know how police get worked up because they human too. So you talking about them, and they feeling some type of way, and then they all friends in the they all doing their job at the same time. They all friends. Like you ain't about to talk about him, this and the third, without because like I said, they all human at the end of the day. They all got feelings too, so they just got feelings with weapons in their hands that they can use. Um, so once they calmed the police down by changing the subject, they still was arrogant a little. They was still arrogant, standing there like they wasn't about to leave or step until they had their way, or they put him down or something. But eventually they calmed down. My cousin still ain't calmed down. He's still on the stairs, yelling to the top of his lungs, drunk, of course, but still know what he talking about. Um, and they all wind up. That's when the white girl was like, "No, y'all rights. Why is y'all still here? Because they still standing around, So that's when they wind up leaving, and they still trying to call him down the stairs. And that's when me and my son just wanted to leave him because we like 2 minutes away, not even 2 minutes away from where they live. So one step and we home. So we wound up just coming home. Um, but oh my gosh. So my brother, and he's in a few of my videos. I'm pretty sure if you go search, You probably won't find him because he's literally only in a few of my videos. I think he's in one of my he in one of my shorts though. I got a lot of shorts, but not as many of my videos. I got some shorts. His dress was down here. Why this dude done cut his dreads? Why did he cut his dreads? I'm questioning, like, why? But I understand, though, because he said it was too much negative energy. Plus, his baby mom, the one that he's not with, did do his dreads. So I'm like, he probably is carrying her energy for real. So I understand why he cut them. She started his dreads and she maintained his dreads. And just like one of the girls on here, she cut her dreads because her girlfriend had did her dreads. That she's not with her, and she's not with her girlfriend anymore. She wanted to, let go of her girlfriend, so she had to cut her dreads. But I don't know. I don't think she, did her dreads. But he did the baby mom that he's having problems with, that he's not currently with. He's with his other, well, not baby mom anymore, but he's with his other girlfriend. So the fact that she did his dreads, he wanted to, I guess, he said it was too much negative energy, but I'm thinking like maybe it's too much of her energy because she did, it came from her hand. So he cut him, and I'm like, I understand, like that's really really understandable. If he wants some more dreads, he can come to me. I'm his sister. Boom, blood. What better person can do your dress than me? So I'm gonna let him know that he can, if he wants his dress again, I do him for him. But yeah. So like I said, I haven't been eating well at all. I haven't been eating well at all. But I'm just, you know, it is what it is at this point. I can't get up really to get anything done because I've been down, and it's really it's depression in the atmosphere. Everything is in, them times of depression back then. It's now it's been depression, and I feel like I've been in the depression for about 2 weeks, if that. Um, but I've been fighting it. God told me that I didn't have to fight no more. You know. But yeah, I've been fighting, and I've been going through it, and I actually feel like the depression hit even before 2 weeks ago. We all been fighting this depression, and eventually I've been through a lot, and since I'm one of God's children, God told me I didn't have to fight no more. And that's when, I got my pills last week. Um, plus, so right now I'm recuperating, but I feel like I can get up. It's just when I don't get up, God is telling me, get your butt up. Because again, here come that depression following me. Y'all ever had it to where depression follows you? Like it's your depression? Or maybe it's just a depression through you, or a depression that has to deal with you, maybe. Um, but just like Pencil Poetry was talking about, he said that, some people aren't, some people don't even know, about their depression. They don't know. Hold on, what was he saying? Because I want to say exact words. I don't want to mix up his words. But I said, um, because I said I feel like depression is just all of the experiences of the past that we don't face. You know, um, It's other people. It's our ancestors' experiences of the past. That's what depression is. So I said, what is depression but historic traumatic experiences we have to suffer through today? And he was like, yes, from generation to generation, we still suffer from things we don't know how to heal from. The sad thing is also, some of us don't even think we are filled with trauma. Some of us don't even think we're filled with trauma. So they walking around with this like this big old black bubble. It's a whole this big old black, all this negative energy inside of them. And the fact that they aren't aware of it, they're, spreading it. Just one day I was looking at this girl, not looking at her, but she was in front of me. So I'm standing there. I got my shorts on. I'm looking cute. Like I got my burgundy blouse on that looked like a dress. So I threw on my shorts and I got my pouch on the side. Like, so they like shorts until I pull them down. But it seemed like she felt the need to get up, and her shorts are small, short too. But she was sitting down with her friend or her sister or her mom, because I think it was her mom and then maybe it was her sister. But she felt the need to stand up, like, and I'm just like, that's kind of weird. But she stood up in front of me, and I don't know, about, I just, something about her just triggered my mind of anger. I try not to pay attention to it, but lately I haven't been able to tolerate that those emotions because I don't understand them. So when I looked at her and it's just her, like her as a being, just has some type of effect on my emotional bubble. And I'm just like, why does she have this effect on me? Because it's just like, I don't know. It's just something like, it's like, let me try to explain it. Okay, so you know how you can go into a store and you can basically have this connection with different stones, or you have connection with plants. This is that type of connection. I feel like I not me and her had, but it's like my connection was kind of just bothered. My vibe bubble was bothered by her presence of, when she was sitting down, it wasn't, but when she stood up, it's just like some type of energy that was on her just made me feel a certain way. And I'm just like, it made me feel aggravated in a way. Like, I'm not even mad at this person, and I don't know you to be mad at you, but something about you just made me feel a certain way, anger wise. So it's just like, I don't know, like my eyes is empathic. Like I got empathic eyes. Like, I feel like that's maybe what it is. And if that's the case, I need some sunglasses. But yeah, maybe that's just something about me I'm discovering as well. But yeah, I do need to get this TV on. I need to find some batteries because it's plugged up. Like I ordered the everything I need right now, and then all I gotta do is just a click of a button, boom, like we can be watching TV. But now I need batteries. It's always one thing. It's one thing after another. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna get around to uploading these videos. And this will be my last video. But yeah, um, like I said, I don't know. I feel like my life is at a different stage to where health wise, I do certain stuff. Like I'm not the same as before. So it's like what was good for me before isn't good for me now. And I know that. but my circumstances doesn't know that. So I'm trying every day, even when it don't seem like I'm trying. I'm trying. You know, there's not a moment where I'm not trying. And if it don't seem like I'm not trying, then I'm just too comfortable in the moment. And that's when it don't seem like I'm not trying. Sometimes it don't seem like I'm not trying because I'm actually content with where I'm at. But in the midst of my contentment, I do have to get up like now because, you know, I am a mother and I still have to, you know, I can't bask in a moment too long, because my too long can be not just that moment or just not that time, but my too long can last the next day, the next day, the next day, as long as I want it to last. Because guess what, you know, I can do that. But it's time for me to break that habit. And you know, the week is coming up, and it's time to get back up and to get back at it. And hopefully I can come back with some good news and with some changes and with some updated information about my lifestyle. And I'm in a different position, you know, financially. But yeah, um, emotional status. Let's get this off my chest. So, my one friend that was in the church thing, like he came to church. I went to his church and stuff like that. I was talking about him a little bit. Um, he wind up telling me after we got into it about, well, that video was coming up. I can't go too far. Okay, so um, let me try to bypass everything that I said in that video. He wound up going back to his ex-wife because of everything that I said in that video. So I was like, congratulations um, on that um, decision, because you know he was homeless, but homeless by choice, and he was getting into it with his friend that he was staying with, because his friend wanted to be with him, but he didn't want to be with her in that way. And he was like, you know, I'm not going to put aside my identity or my dignity, or allow you to take control of who I am or who I want to be and what my life is about because you feel a certain way. And I talked about that before, about what they was going through. Um, but yeah, they wind up she wound up forgiving him, and because I guess they wind up getting some type of coming to some type of understanding, to where she started acting nice, I guess, because she had took his clothes. So um she wound up giving his clothes back, not everything, but some stuff back. Then he went to stay with another friend, but they were still on talking terms now. So once she got the hint, or she got the notion that he wouldn't be with her, she did want him to be with her, but he said no, he didn't want to be with her like that. So he expected more out of me. He wanted more out of me. I was going through a lot. I had a lot on my plate, and I'm telling him he can't have more than what he already has, and that is some of my time here and there, because what he can't understand, or what he can't really um what he couldn't come to terms with, was that I have a son, I am a mother, um I have a lifestyle to maintain, and I have to build a lifestyle. I have to find a lifestyle because at this time I didn't have my apartment. So he couldn't come to terms to that. So I was telling him that, but eventually he still wasn't dropping it. It's like every time we talked, he would always bring it back up. What's your focus? Where we at? Let's, when I got my apartment, he, that's when he called me and told me, I've been calling you. You ain't say you've been texting me because he been texting me. But he was like, I've been calling you, and he was just explaining everything about his decision. And well, he didn't even tell me his decision on the phone. He texted me his decision, but he was telling he was like, I've been calling you, and you understand though, right? That this is what he said. He was like, you understand that, why I feel the way I feel, because I feel like the phone can work both ways. You can call me this, and anything that I tell him, and this is what a lot of guys, when I don't think to call. I don't think twice about calling y'all. And that's simply because I have a lot going on, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I have a lot going on, so y'all are not my priority. My priority is right here. I understand you want to build a relationship as a friend, as friends and stuff like that. But you're not always going to get that call, you know? And when I do think about calling you, there's something else that I can be doing, honestly, rather than thinking about calling you. Unless it's like the middle of the night or it's nighttime and the day is over. If I'm not asleep, then yes, maybe you'll get some type of call or something, or a text, what you doing, this or that. But I don't know, you know, obviously y'all have all the time on y'all hands because y'all are at where y'all at in life. So calling somebody up is no big deal. But I'm not at where I'm at in my life, so calling somebody up is a big deal. Because it's something else that I can be doing. Something I can be focusing on. Something else that can be taking that space in my mind is actually going to produce something else later in my life that's going to be beneficial for me and my lifestyle with my kids. And that's the best way I can explain it. So, um, so yeah, and he doesn't understand it. And even if I tell him that, he's going to make something out of it that's going to be a problem. But like I said, if we friends, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. And him going back to his ex-wife, he wouldn't have to cut ties with me to go back to your ex-wife. We could still be friends because that's all we was from the jump. But if that's obviously an issue in that bracket, then understand, you want to drop any relationships that you had gained for the past relationship that you chose to leave. But I was telling him that him leaving that past relationship, I'm like, why would you do that if y'all was best friends? I used to explain all his experiences with her and stuff like that. And I'm like, why would you leave? I still don't remember why he told me that. I think it was just because of him. Oh, he said because they both, their ego had got too big, and it was like out for relationship type thing. So both they both got too arrogant, too egotistic, and they wanted to bump their heads. And that's why they ended their relationship. He ended it. He said she was sitting there like this the whole time when he wasn't divorced, pouting. But then he brought up the fact that when he tried to get back with her, like before the divorce, before he decided to divorce her, he called her up and was like, he called her up and she had another dude over there. Like, yeah, this dude, like this, her dude now, and this and that, basically rubbing it in her face, rubbing it in his face, and he felt some type of way about it. But that's the thing. That's the thing. When we go through our experiences, and this is common with everybody. I'm pretty sure it's most likely is. But we tend to lose track. We tend to lose memory of what we've been through. So just think, if I was your friend nowadays, like, and you didn't cut ties with me too soon, I could have been that reminder. But maybe God put made him, tell me that stuff and lay that stuff on me as for him to forget, you know, put him in a position, like put him in my life so that I could be his vent, so I can basically, so he can vent all of that out on me so that he can have some type of clarity. And maybe that was meant for him to forget, because what he left his marriage for was not that big of a deal as he felt it was. Maybe he accumulated, just like he said, some people accumulate so much in his side and they're not aware of their trauma. They hold their trauma in so long, and they're not aware that trauma is inside of them, to where God have to put you in a position of separation and distance so that you can lay all of that out, and then eventually maybe let go of that to the point where you forget. And now that you've forgotten, now you can, go back and do it over again, because how it ended was not supposed to have been how it ended. So that's what I'm thinking. That's how God works in your life. And maybe I was supposed to be that. I was that part of his life to where he needed to forget. And unfortunately, I was that person to, you know, hold that for him until this time, so that he can go back with clarity and start again. Because obviously, that marriage could have been lasted longer and he could have stayed in that marriage. He just needed to deal with some issues inside of him that he let go. So yeah, so that's the story behind what happened with him. Um, I gave him some great advice. He gave me some great advice. We were great friends, and he loved talking to me and I loved talking to him. Like, once we got done talking to each other, everything was so cool until we went without talking. Then he became an emotional wreck. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? We was just good, and now you're complaining because we're not talking, but we just, so it's just like, but when you can tell, like, once we talked, he got his clarity and he felt good and he was in a good place. But yeah, so one time I'm walking to my doctor's appointment, and I'm looking for a store. Can you find a store? So I bump into this guy. I lost my keys. He's screaming out from across the street. I lost my key. I'm like, oh, you know where a store is around here? So he looking for his key, and I'm looking for a store. And I feel like in this moment, it was like some type of metaphor, like a metaphoric moment in our lives. And I can't put I can't wrap my mind around what the metaphor could be, because I never really gave myself a chance to think about it, because you know how you wrap your head around something and you wind up getting stuck. I didn't want to get stuck, But just think, like, he lost his key and he yells out to me, I lost my key. This is the moment that brings us together. I lost my key to my car. And I'm looking for a store. Do you know, we're both looking for something. What I'm looking for could have been, what I was looking for could have been, he could have been in my next moment. Because what I was looking for was no good, honestly. I just was in a moment and I was fed up and I was going through so much at the time. And what I was looking for could have been me losing my key to some part, some place, some, I mean, to some part of my life that is very relevant. Could have been losing my key to an opportunity coming up. If I really wrap my hand around that head around that moment, because like I'm saying, when people come into your life, it's not for no reason. It's actually a meaning. It can be a metaphoric meaning, and I feel like me and him just was in that metaphoric time of what happened in this experience. What happens in this experience is a metaphor for, you know, what's either going to happen now or what's going to happen next. So I vented to him about everything that was going on. I was angry, fed up, fed up with life, fed up with the world, fed up with my family, fed up with everything that was happening to me that I felt wasn't, I had no help and I was frustrated. And I still would have been in that frustration if my son's dad didn't come down like a knight in shining armor that he always is, to save me from that frustration and that dark place of gloom. But I was venting out to him everything that I was going through. The guy that lost his car key. By the way, he still hasn't found his car key. He called me last night. Yeah, like I'm a I'm gonna find my car key. I'm gonna get my car back. I can't take it seriously. I can't take him realistically. I still can only take you as some type of surreal moment because it was a surreal experience. I see him as surreal. You know, he's not from Akron. He could say he's from Chicago. Yeah, I think. Um, but yeah, these men can be like nagging women. They can. It's like you chilling, you thinking everything good, and then here they come nagging at you. But it's only because they haven't spent enough time with me of getting to know me until it's that last, like, no, they haven't, like, that's the thing, they haven't got a lot of time with me, but I got a lot of time on my hands that I'm doing around here, and I'm figuring out my life, and it's just, you can't blame somebody for thinking about you, I guess. And it's just, I had enough experiences that I let somebody come into my life and have that space in my life, and all they did was play games or play tricks, and I was deceived, and I was just emotional wreck, and they left a wreck on my plate. They wrecked me and walked away. Or somebody come into my life and they take and doesn't give anything back. those are the type of people that I've dealt with in the past. So it's hard for anybody to get close to me like that anymore, because I still remember how I was done by other people that seem no different. Um, and that would be an insult to a person. That's why you don't say that to a person, because they'll feel very, insulted if you say, um, you mix them up with another person's experience, but you can't help how you feel, you know? And it's not even at this point, like before it'd be like, okay, show me it's different then. Show me it's different this time. I don't even care if it's different this time. It's just the fact that I don't want to go through that again, of getting my hopes up in a person that's always letting me down constantly, consistently, you know? And that's what I don't do. A phone call or a text or getting close to you and building that connection or that friendship is like getting my hopes up. And I don't want to get my hopes up in those type of situations. I'm used to being used and abused, and when in that most like that goes for real friendships with people, regardless, relationships, friendships, all of that in the same category. So yeah, when you pulling on that string, don't always expect me to be at the end when you eventually pluck it up. I'm probably still gonna be down where um, you wanted to, you was trying to pull me up from. A lot of people talk about empty cups, pouring from an empty cup. I was thinking earlier, I'm like, you know what? Just if your cup is empty, that's the thing about a lot of people. It's like an empty cup. They want to, if their cup is empty and they can't pour from their cup, they hurry up and try to get it filled, by any means necessary. What I was thinking earlier is like, I can just sit with my empty cup. I can sit at the bottom of that empty cup while you worrying about how to fill your cup up. I'm sitting at the bottom of that empty cup and I'm chilling. Because when you have something to pour, that's when the commotion comes. That's when your silence goes away. That's when your peace goes away. That's when you become a prey. When you have something to pour, everybody wants their fill. They all come into you with their cups. Pour, pour, pour. I want some. I want some. When you have an empty cup and you have nothing to pour, that's the less people you see. That's the less you have to go through. That's the silence and that's the peace and that's that moment you get to rest when you have nothing to pour. So be grateful for that moment, because when you do have something to pour, that moment's going to be gone. So being the fact that this video is long, if I do upload this video before my other videos, I'm just saying the stuff that's coming up will be the spaces. This will fill this, well, yeah, those videos will fill these spaces. Because I really don't know. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to go and find me some batteries for this remote, and I will talk to y'all next time. Y'all have a wonderful life. Y'all have a wonderful life. You know, keep thinking outside the box. Don't get stuck inside the box, because if you do, you'll be stuck um, in that place for too long, and life goes on. Get up, heal, do some self reflection, and learn to accept the situation for what it is. Get some self, get some time to yourself and really do the work on yourself, because healing yourself and paying attention to yourself is more than you know. Is more, it's like taking care of your family, you know. Taking care of yourself is taking care of the generations of your ancestors and your family and your roots. That's what it is. Being there for yourself and taking life for what it is. That's where it starts. You know, we all go through it. Just like when I was at my cousin's house, I was in a different place than they are. They're still in that same moment. They're still the same people of when I was drunk and I was the one out there screaming out. They're still living that same moment. I wasn't living that moment no more, because I have a life too. You know, I have loved ones that I've lost just as close to you as your brother was, and I have to keep pushing on, and I have to keep going. I have kids. We all have kids, and we have to start thinking about that. That's more, you know, that's, I won't say more important, but they are our coping mechanism. They are how we cope with the past, because they are our future. You know, they matter too. So yeah. That being said, I'm gonna get out of here. I tried to get some advice. I don't know how that went. I don't even think that even made sense. But I tried to throw in something that, like, it made sense in my head, but it didn't really come out the way that it should have. But I'll talk to y'all next time. Like, comment, subscribe, be notified, share at your own free will to show you care.